Bright QT. Every student matters.
Now students, let's talk about the third stage. Now while we were discussing about the beginning of the revolution and the course of revolution, in beginning of revolution we understood that there were different aims for different people in the French Revolution. We understood about the aims of peasants who wanted the end of feudalism and cruel taxes, then liberals who wanted a new constitution, believed in equality and freedom of all, and the extremists who wanted republic and end to monarchy. Then we understood how the revolution it started to commence, or it started to break down in different stages. So for this you have learnt about the first and the second stage, right? In first stage we learnt about the meeting of States General. We understood how the voting took place here in the Parliament of State Generals, and what were the demands of the third stage, who wanted that every person should have one vote and they should vote as a whole there, right? But did the king give their demands? No. So now they decided to form their own National Assembly. They took an oath, and this oath was taken place at the Royal Tennis Court in Versailles, and therefore they decided not to disperse until they have drafted a new constitution for France. Now continuing that part, we are going to talk about the third stage here, because in second stage we saw how Louis XVI forcefully he had to accept or recognize the National Assembly, but at the same time he asked his troops to move in Paris, right, and also to attack the people. The main idea was to attack any unruly activities there, right? So people were also now afraid that the king he might now dissolve the National Assembly that he had forcefully accepted there. So this is the main stage here where the French Revolution it commenced. Now you all are aware of this topic, that is the storming of Bastille. We have learnt about it. Now if I ask you a question, do you know what Bastille is? Definitely you can answer this question. Now it was a prison fortress where all those people who spoke against the king or who went against the ideas of the king or criticized the king, any such people, they were imprisoned in this prison fortress. So therefore it showed the despotic nature of the king, right? It represented the despotic nature of the king, and also all these people, the middle class people, the common people who wanted to challenge the king, they wanted to steal arms and ammunition from this prison fortress. So they decided to storm this Bastille building here, right, on 14 July 1789. So how this happened here? So there was a state of confusion and anarchy in the city of Paris, right? So there was the whole chaotic moment there in Paris. People, they wanted to attack the king, they were going against the king, violent actions were taking place here. Violent actions were now taking place, right? Here you have to keep in mind that this was the stage that now led to the violent actions in place in this region. Now these protests were against the high prices of bread. Again, during this period we see that there was a huge scarcity as well. Famines were taking place before this, but it had its repercussions here. So there was this high price, right, in different regions, and the protest was mainly against the high price of bread, right, the common food, that the staple diet there was, and people they used to eat bread there, the common people who could not afford some other food there, right? Rumors were also spread that the king had ordered the troops to move in the city and fire at unruly citizens, right? So this was the rumor that was being spread at the same time when the king he moved his troops in the city of Paris. So these people now they were getting confident about the fact that they might be attacked by the troops of the king if they are seeing any unruly citizens who is not abiding the law here. So because of this, some 7,000 men and women they gathered in front of town hall and decided to form People's Militia. It means that they were ready to take any violent actions if necessary. Now 7,000 is a big amount here that we are talking about. So people in large number, they came together and they assembled in front of the town hall. They broke into government offices and also stormed the prison fortress, that is Bastille, that we have talked about it in great length here, right? I discussed why the prison fortress was stormed, okay? So it stood for despotism, it stood for autocratic rule, or the way in which the king ruled with absolute authority, which was not liked by the common people, right? So till today, Bastille Day is celebrated on 14 July. Likewise, in America, people celebrate their independence on 4th July. Here in France, we have Bastille Day that is celebrated on 14th July, the day it was attacked. Okay. What happened after this? After this, with the fall of Bastille, it brought the masses to the forefront. Throughout France, peasants were impatient. Now, who comes to the forefront here? Who comes into the main scene? The masses. Masses here, it means the common people. So, we are getting the gist of the third stage here. That people now, they try to attack the government offices. They try to attack the whole authority of king by storming Bastille, right? And they freed the prisoners from there. They stole the arms and ammunitions available there. They challenged the authority of king directly here. They took the law in their own hands. They went onto the path of violent actions here. By violent means, they tried to attack the king's authority. So all these keywords and all these points should be kept in your mind here while we are talking about this third stage, right? The main point, okay? Now, here we see that the common people now, they are at the forefront, and the peasants, they are getting impatient. They are against this whole idea of feudalism. They are against this whole idea of cruel taxes that they had to pay, and enraged by this, what did they do? They took part in violent acts because there was a situation of chaos, anarchy, and obviously violent actions were taking place here and there. So peasants also, they were involved in these violent acts. So they burned chateaus, the large mansions of the nobles. Again, for them, the nobles were their enemies, right? So these big landlords who had large mansions, who had large estates, all these places, they were burnt. The palaces of the feudal lords, they were looted, they were burnt, and all these violent actions were taking place here in France. Okay? Revolutionaries in Paris, they founded a new city government called the Commune. So here we see that the extremists, the revolutionaries, who definitely find violent path a better way in order to overthrow the government. So therefore, these revolutionaries, they now founded a new city government, right, in Paris, which was known as Commune here. Okay, so this was the situation of France here. Okay, so coming to the question section here, students, we have a question that says, on what date is Bastille Day celebrated? So this is quite easy question here. What are you going to write in this? You will write 14th July. Why? Because it was on this date in the year 1789 when the Bastille, that is the fortress prison in France, it was stormed, right, by the mob, by people of Paris, right? So here you have to give this answer, that is 14th July, because it is asking on which date is Bastille Day celebrated in France, keeping this in mind. Thank you.